All right, back for round two without the buzz this time. So we're on 19, day 19.
Yes.
Have you failed at all?
No,
You're still going?
I'm still going, and I feel better than the last time I did it. Even I think because I know what I'm supposed to be doing this time because we read the book. So yeah, I think that's good, and I don't know, I feel pretty badass every day for getting through the day. By the end of the day, it's really crappy because usually I have to read, but
Yeah. Yeah, last night I was falling asleep reading. I had to
yeah,
keep going back and reading again and going back and reading again because I forgot to read before bed. That's not good.
I know it's that's the hard thing is like if you pick something that is not entertaining, it's
Yeah.
just info dumping
Well,
on
yeah,
you.
you're not supposed to really be reading entertaining stuff. It's supposed to be helping
Yeah.
you, in some way, right?
Right. Well, mine is the struggle with mine is that I'm doing the what is it called, the richest man in Babylon, and I kind of like the way it is because it's like reading the Bible or something, but that gets really it's like super wordy. So they're saying a lot to just say one like small thing, but it's super, you know,
Yeah.
flowery and it's hard to follow along. And so yeah, when I'm tired, like it's especially hard. It's just not, it's not like somebody's talking to me. Like sometimes I can read and I feel like they're talking to me. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So what book did you say you were reading again?
I don't remember what it's called. It's called like Tiny Business, Big Money or something like that. Here, let me see. Tiny Business, yeah, Tiny Business, Big Money.
Are you learning anything from that?
Um, it's like it's hard to say because they just keep saying these stupid things that don't make any sense. Like they're like, do you want to be have free time? Like they're basically saying, do you want to be able to work from anywhere and have all this free time and like be able to run a little business from a laptop somewhere? And it's like, I don't know, it doesn't really seem legit.
Hmm.
It's like you have these people that sell this lie that owning your own business is somehow easy, or you're going to get free time, which isn't true at all. Like starting a business when you already have a full-time job is really difficult,
Mm. Yeah.
and it's really difficult. It's hard. It takes a lot of work to do two things like that. So, so far, what I'm learning is that like this stuff is possible, and we definitely need to like dive in deeper to get it done, but I I just wish that she would stop talking about like it being easy or something,
Hmm. Because it's throwing you off.
or like that you're gonna have free time,
Yeah.
or that you're gonna be able to do this from a beach somewhere.
Hmm.
It's like it's not.
It doesn't feel shady.
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people do this when they talk about starting businesses or whatever. And like even when I started my business, like that's what I thought. I was like, well, I'll be able to
Hmm.
make these decisions, so I won't have to listen to a manager or, stupid corporate BS or whatever. But then you get into it and you kind of start to realize that like all that stuff, a lot of it is necessary. You start to see it from the other side,
Yeah.
you know. And it's also just, you know, you think that you're going to fire your boss, right? You ever heard that term before? Fire your boss?
Yeah.
Well, you don't. You don't fire your boss. You gain a whole bunch of bosses
Yeah.
because now every customer is the boss.
Yeah.
So it's like you just add a whole bunch of bosses. And it is like I think I'm getting more from Andy Frisella's podcast than I am from anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's good.
because it's making sense. You know, what I'm not getting is what I need is still the logistical side of things.
Mm.
We need to learn taxes and
Right.
business licensing and stuff like that. I had the insurance figured out, and I had the licensing figured out, but I want to go to like an LLC.
Okay.
So I want my next thing to be an LLC, so that I don't have to worry about like making a mistake and having it like cost us the house or something like that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then basically it needs to make enough money to pay a tax guy. You know, that would be like the first year goal, and maybe to pay a bookkeeper. Like pay somebody who has experience to like give us the experience of what exactly how we should run it, you know, to exactly the cent of, you know, down to the penny of what we should be claiming and all that stuff. What should be, you know, using as business expenses and everything, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be like a lot better at tracking everything. Probably even like, you know, actually get a tracking program rather than like a spreadsheet. And then, you know, maybe even like be able to give receipts, like all these things that you would see in, you know, a bigger business. Like that's what I want to do on the next business.
Okay.
Like it's interesting 'cause I think as far as like selling the shit or finding a way to make money, that would be really easy. You know, like I have a lot of skills. I can go around and help people. People ask for help all the time in like our community group, that I could easily be like, you know, like there's like I've thought about just offering like junk removal. You know, that's
Yeah.
a big business out there.
Yeah.
We could easily do that along with appliance repair. We could kind of do both, and it would
Right.
be easy. Like we have trailers, we could go load people's junk up and take it to the dump. You
Mhm.
know,
You already have done that before.
yeah, for free.
Uh huh.
Just a random couch on the.
Right.
Well, no, what happened was some person dumped their couch
At some other person's house or
at
something.
another person's house in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so they got on the Facebook community thing and they were like, I don't know who dumped this couch here, but you suck. And so I was already going to the dump that day for my own stuff. So I just like offered to come get it and
Mm.
take it to the dump for them 'cause I was already going. So
I was considering getting. In the other circle, there was a cart there forever from probably Walmart or something. I don't know. And I just kept thinking like, should we just grab this cart and take it back? Like, geez, it's been here forever. Nobody's
I've done that.
done anything.
Were you
with
with me when I did that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 'cause like people just bring the shopping carts home from the store,
Yeah.
and then they just leave them in the street.
Yeah.
So I load them up and take them back all
Yeah.
the time.
And every day there's like new trash all over the sidewalk,
Yeah.
so I'm always picking up everybody's trash.
Right. Well, that's part of the 75 hard too. When we get into the later phases,
Mm.
there's going to be a point to where you're going to have to do a random act of kindness every day.
I know, that's crazy.
And then the last phase, you have to talk to a stranger every day. Like have an actual conversation with a stranger every day.
That's even crazier. That feels really crazy.
Well, I mean, for you, you probably already do that at work. You know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but like, what about days off? You know, like
Yeah.
you have to go somewhere every day.
Right.
You can't not,
Yeah.
and you have to take opportunities when you can. That's what I was just thinking. Was like, how could you? Is there a way for you to plan out sort of what you're gonna do, like for your daily good deed or whatever? Like, 'cause
Well, yeah, picking up trash counts.
yeah, but every
So-
day, I think he said you need to change it up. You can't just do that all the
Yeah.
You can't just buy everybody coffee every single day
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You have to be creative. I mean, there's definitely opportunities. Like, you know, people are always like they're short a little cash or whatever. That's fine, but like, you know, there's other ways to do it, and it's just like you'd have to really, I don't know. That's the one thing I was gonna say too about this time is like, I not only do I know like this is how I thrive too, is like knowing black and white, like what am I supposed to do, what am I not supposed to do. And so for me, having a clear idea of that has been really helpful, and it's been more enjoyable for me just because, like I was telling you, like I don't have any thoughts about it And because I don't really have time to. So immediately if I have any thoughts about it, I'm just like, well, you have to do it. So it doesn't matter. Don't even try and think about it. So I wake up, and if I want to sleep in, I'm just like, oh, well, you got to get up, got to get going. Like I can't take the time to even worry about it. So because I know black and white, like this is what I have to do. And I'm way more organized this time. So I have lists. I have multiple lists. Not only the one he provides, but I have my own big list of daily things I have to do in order to keep it organized and within the time that I need to get everything done that I need to get on top of the 75 hard. And I know that's what you're doing too. You're having you have a lot more goals and stuff. But I'm just trying to, organize like all of your extra classes that you've added on with school and with both workouts, and not, because now also you can't, knowing that we can't work out just randomly, like whenever, 15 minutes here, 30 minutes there, whatever. Like I have to do both before I go to work at night. So I have to fit that in, and I have to figure out how. So having those lists has really been helpful for me.
Well, but seeing it's not like that. He keep asking me if I'm going to be able to do all this stuff, but my life doesn't really, it's always been like this, And like I'm literally coming off of like shutting down the business. It adds like 4 hours to every day, which is easy for me to just plug this stuff in. And I think that's the other thing too, is if we start a new business, like I've got to be able to keep this stuff going. Like I can't do it the way that I was doing it, to where I was just either working or too tired to do anything. Like I have to be able to schedule out what I need to do for a new business. It needs to be scheduled and routined, so that I'm not just too tired,
right.
But I think if we do something to where we have an actual supplier, or depending on what it is, to where we don't have to like, because I think a big issue was I never got to rest, because when it was rest time, it was still time to work. There was no stopping, So
yeah.
But yeah, I think the classes with the kids are necessary. Like we need to get these other, we all need to learn these other things, We need to learn these other, like mainly the financial stuff.
Yeah.
You could probably add in soccer too. It's like they're not going to get good at soccer. Either that or we just need to drop soccer completely. Like they need to do soccer every day,
I know,
all year long.
I know.
Or we just need to drop it. If they want to do it, then they need to do it every day. They need to do soccer practice for like an hour.
And they're probably so far behind, or at least Declan's far behind everybody else too. I mean, I don't know. His last team wasn't as like there wasn't as many.
You're just gonna key in on like the good players, and those good players are playing soccer like he plays video games.
Yeah.
And so you have to think about it like that.
It's true.
Soccer isn't really his thing. It's not either. Sports is not our thing as a family. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. We could drop it and move on to these other things, Like if you would rather do like robots, rather than a sport, it's not a big deal to me. But
yeah, and I think originally the idea was, I mean, it is good physically for him, but like we were talking about, they don't really need that. They're just running and jumping around. They're on crack every day anyway.
Yeah, well, like my point of view with it was that it would teach him how to learn something. Teach him how to like have a little bit more social stuff with
that was
other kids.
Yeah, but we get so much
like
social.
Yeah, it's not like that
stuff
at all.
Already.
It's not. They're not learning anything. It's not like the coach is definitely teaching them stuff, but it's like their practices are only once a week. There's only so much, that he can do, and it's like it's not. And I don't know what to do because I never did sports, so it's not like us doing extra time with him does help, but it's not. So basically, he's got to take that ball and go on his own every day and do the stuff that he needs to do.
Yeah, they're just like not motivated whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's just another thing that we have to like get after them for. It drives me crazy. Like that's what was driving me so crazy today, was they were just not listening to anything. And they went to timeout multiple times. And on one hand, it's like Milo's like, he's like, when I first said, okay, you have to go to timeout, he's like, okay, I don't care. And I was like, that's good. But then I'm like, uh,
No,
actually,
you just do it. That's
yeah,
good.
he did it.
He goes and does his timeout, and then he's done. And
Yeah, but then he just
that's
came
the
back
goal.
and, I mean, I guess he did his work for a while, but
I think with the thing that I would suggest is like, and you could watch this, but what did you give him for breakfast?
pancakes.
Yeah, and so they probably had a bunch of maple syrup with it, right?
Yeah.
So you need to like watch that, like give them fruit, or you give them a bunch of sugar, and they're gonna act like that all day. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. You gotta like think. Everything affects them way worse than us. So like if you give them sugar, they're gonna be bouncing off the walls with energy.
There's no difference between that and goldfish, which is pretty much all Declan wants to eat.
Yeah.
He was eating cheese, but I don't think this is just
Well,
a diet thing. It's just been this way like this last couple weeks.
Well, he said that he would do like hot dogs for breakfast, or, if you did like pancakes without the syrup, or I don't know what else, or just don't eat breakfast for him. I mean, I don't know that he actually even needs it.
Milo's a lot more well-rounded. He always eats a yogurt
Yeah.
or cottage cheese, and then but I don't know. It's just always a struggle. It's just there's always just something new. I think it's just 'cause they're developing and they're growing all the time. So you never have like a chance to really be like, okay, now we're doing this. 'Cause as soon as you think you're in some sort of system, then they change, and the next week's different. So yeah. But I don't remember what I was saying as far as, yeah, I guess the sports and stuff. It's not really working like we thought. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean it's fine if we just keep doing it the way we're doing it, but it's not. It's kind of like not too. I don't know if they would care. They probably would. They probably want to keep doing it.
I know, but they just.
But
Milo
that's the
barely
thing.
does anything when he's out there.
Yeah, that's what we need to do though. Is we need to like get them to have some accountability with it. And if they want to do it, then they need to do it every day.
Yeah.
They need to get good at it. Milo needs to build up his endurance.
Yeah.
They both need to go do it and try to win. That's the thing that we need to start pushing forward with all of these projects is that, Milo's playing piano, but he's cheating the app.
Right.
And he's like, it's just easier. And I'm like, but you're not trying to win the app. You're trying to learn how to play piano. It's not a video game,
Right.
So, but he doesn't see the difference. He doesn't understand what's going on. So, I think I gotta be down here while they're doing it, or you need to be down here while they're doing it, or we need to take that piano back upstairs.
Mm-hmm. We
Or
can.
get it. We need to get another one if we do that.
Okay.
'Cause I write music every Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't want to drag it back and forth. So,
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was also going to say that I felt pretty good about learning all of these new skills. I think 'cause I'm coming off of finishing up all of that My Tech High stuff. So, like, you obviously helped me with the bulk of it, right? You did most of the work as far as the organization goes, but it helped me see, like, it is like the organization is really important. And so when I was going back in and I was actually like able to mess around with it and make some headway on like just the simple computer things that I don't know, like it felt really good. And like I actually didn't dread coming down here to finish it. I was like, I need to get this sent in, and I kind of wanted to. I was like, I'm just going to take the time to just like focus on putting all of the stuff together, the PDF and all that, and putting everything in there. So once I like knew how to do it and didn't feel like I was taking 2 steps back each time I was, on the computer trying to figure it out, it like came together really fast, and it felt so good. I felt so good about it.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what, you just need to do it more, and it will get easier and easier.
Yeah.
And then, we need to just, I think next time we should start on the computer.
Yeah.
And then you could even do like a spreadsheet.
Yeah. I just feel, I know that that's the other thing with this is that also going into it with knowing what, he says in the book, the idea is not to lose weight. It's not, obviously it was the first time for me too, but like challenging yourself, doing something hard and holding yourself accountable. Like that's the hardest part, is holding yourself accountable, because it's so easy to lie to yourself and tell yourself like, oh, it's okay if I, let this slide or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you keep it really black and white and like no variation here, like this is the way it's got to be, then for me, it's a lot easier. Like there's been a couple days where I have a lot of like what they call food noise, maybe is what, I don't know if that's what it is, but just I'm struggling because I'm so hungry. Like I really just want to eat more. I want to snack. I want to whatever, my old habits sneak up on me.
Yeah. But what you need to realize is that being hungry is the way.
I know.
So that's the thing, is that this program is not a workout program. It's not a challenge. It's not a diet. It's not actually any of those things. It's not meant for you to necessarily lose weight or gain muscle or any of those things. It's supposed to change your mind.
Yeah.
Because your mind is broken.
Yeah.
So when you want to accomplish something, it doesn't get accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
You have like this pipe dream, and like you specifically do this. I don't do this very much. Like I pretty much accomplish my goals. And I mean, you could look at my life and be like, well, it doesn't really look like it, but I don't really have that high of goals. I never really have had, but my goals are stuff like I want to build this trailer, and I pretty much do, or like I want to build, like a lot of my goals are just building random things that I think in my head. But your goals might be like, if you wanted to like start a business, it's like you would think about it and then you wouldn't do it. You might like overanalyze it and never get there. You never do it. Or I don't know what another goal might be that you
I've never been a person with goals. And I wasn't before. But I do have a lot now, and I've accomplished quite a few of my goals. Like some a project that I was working on, I made it happen, and I was really proud of it. And a few of my projects that I've done in the past, sewing projects, and not just things that you've forced me to do.
Well, sometimes you get frustrated at things
that's
and
the
then you
biggest
quit.
thing. Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about. I can't think of the last example of you actually doing that, but you used to do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what the program is, and the book's called The Book on Mental Toughness,
Mm-hmm.
because he like came along, he was doing his thing and decided to figure out how to do something when you didn't want to do it. Like that's what he calls discipline. So discipline is when you can do something when you don't want to do it, and you can still get it done. And that's what this program teaches you, really. It's really to change your life.
David Goggins calls it callousing the mind.
Yeah.
So I would think that it's the same sort of idea, right? Like
Yeah. So like if you go outside and work out and it's blizzarding, but you do it anyways, like you're going to see after that it doesn't really matter if it's blizzarding or not blizzarding. All of these excuses that you've always made for yourself don't matter.
Yeah.
They actually don't matter, and they're not really real.
Right.
You can go and work out in that blizzard, and this isn't medical advice, or legal advice, but you can go do that, and you're not going to die, probably, allegedly,
No, because I've done it, and you feel better after, because you're like, man, that was hardcore.
I have to say that, or YouTube will pull my video down.
Really?
Yeah. It happened to us already. It happened to us on the video.
Even with like 2 viewers?
It doesn't matter.
It's crazy.
The robot will eventually listen to it, and the robot will just pull it. So, but yeah, you could do a lot more than you think you're capable of. Like we're all capable of a lot more. And I used to try to get you to see this, because I'd be like, okay, we need to do this thing. And you're like, well, I have all this other stuff to do. And then I'm like, well, okay, you could do all of that and this, like there's a lot of hours in the day, like it's only going to take 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But in your mind, it's like, well, I already have my day set up, and it's all of these 10 things. I'm not going to change it for you in your 20-minute thing. That's basically what you're really doing. at the final result is that. Instead of thinking like, okay, well, here's how I could accomplish that, you immediately think, well, I can't do it. And it's not just something that I need you to do. It's like anything that you might want to do, you're going to immediately stop, like getting in shape. We will find a reason to not do it.
To not make that a priority.
We'll find a reason to not quit our shitty jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find a reason to not like go on that trip, to not like, buy that car, to not, grow up and get better jobs or what. Like, I mean, I did it at Smith's for years and years and years. I just sat there and, realized constantly knowing that I was way more talented and gifted than what I was being paid, and like just not doing anything.
Yeah.
And just staying and wasting,
It's a shitty feeling.
And it's even like, even there, I knew the bigwigs and they wanted to promote me, and just saying, no, I don't want to be promoted. Instead of saying, okay, yeah, I'll go try this again. I'll go try the promotion train again. This time I'll actually have the backing of good people. Because the first time I got promoted, I didn't have any backing. I was put out on an island, and basically, the bigwigs were against me, not for me.
Yeah.
But this time they would have been for me. Like, they were more or less, like work friends. Like, they would have helped. Like, I would have felt a lot better this time. But it was still just like, I don't want to. I don't want to do it because I'd rather just not try. Now I don't promote. They want to promote me here whenever there's a position open, but now I don't promote because the new job, the promotion above me, I don't want to do. I don't want to do that job, and that there's not really very much headroom, at this place. There's only like 30 employees, something like that in all of Utah. So it's not like really to get promoted to where you're making good money, you have to move. The only way to do it is to move states.
Oh.
So either to go to a busier area, or, I mean, just 'cause, we have our managers here. So it's not like they're going to be, whenever they retire, I guess, or whenever they leave is when the positions opens.
Mm.
But there's not a lot. It's not like Smith's where there's a whole bunch of positions everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, I don't even want to work for a corporation. I want to continue to push and get a business going somehow. Like, even though there's a lot more bosses with all the customers, Yeah. Hopefully this thing's loud enough. We're not really hitting the meter very hard. I mean, or maybe even growing one of these YouTube channels, and not just wasting my time doing this. But what I want to do, and what I'm going to start to do on these is learning while we're on the mic. Even tonight, if I wasn't so sick, I would have pulled up like Wikipedia on business license so we could learn together. But we could also probably even start making videos of our other classes and posting them, so we can all learn together. And anybody who wants to watch this could learn with us, Like, it's not like I'm teaching you, but maybe I can sort of compact the information off the internet for you, for the people that if they wanted to watch this and just learn. But yeah, the point is that the program is about getting mentally tough.
Yeah.
So that that you can do stuff that you don't think you can,
Yeah. And I think ultimately that's how I feel right now. I feel like this is different this time because, well, and this was my original thought when I did it the first time, was I had no one else but myself to answer to. And that was kind of like what excited me about it, was that like, can I really do this? Can I really play this mind game with myself? And I think it was great when I had my friends, because there was a lot of support, but I wasn't looking for that necessarily, and I don't necessarily need that. It was mostly for myself, and I guess that's the point of it. And so that's kind of what I feel like now. And I do wonder like how they're all sort of feeling about me doing it without them and stuff. And, there hasn't really been any animosity or anything, but I just wonder like what I would think if one of them did it. And I probably would be kicking myself in the butt if I wasn't doing it too. And that's ultimately how I felt when you were doing it. And I was like, because I had no plans to do it. I was like, oh, we're going to wait to do it, I thought. And then you're like, no, I thought we were doing it now. And then I was like, I guess I'm doing it. You know, like, I would have not felt right if I hadn't. So I would have eventually done it anyway, I think. Just because, I don't know, when the opportunity comes, you know, I think it's important. And that's one of the things in the book that he's talking about right now is that, you know, opportunities are always there for you to, you know, it's a matter of like answering them in a timely way.
Well, and you have to be ready.
Yeah.
So if the opportunity comes along and you're not ready, then it's just going to go by. So you need to be ready all the time. And that's the thing is, you know, with the business that I had, it was like I had to be ready at any moment to just get up and go and get it.
Right.
And I need to get a business that's not like that, because I could do that if I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
But with the kids, I don't want to like totally upset their worlds all the time.
Yeah.
So basically, it just isn't a good fit for me, and that's why I needed to kill it. And so I think if I did do like in-home repairs, that would be fine, with the plan of like building a customer base and then
having more of a structured, scheduled out.
Yeah, so you'd schedule out appointments.
Right.
But then what you would do is eventually get to the point to where you could hire somebody to fulfill those appointments.
Right.
You know, like within a year, you're hiring a tech to do that work rather than you.
Yeah.
And you know, then you can double yourself, because then I would still go on other calls, you know, and he would go on those calls, and then we would be splitting off in that way, right? You hire another one. It's like you build that way until it, you know, to the point, and maybe even we're doing like a laundromat on top of it, you know, and be working out of the back of it as far as like, you know, our warehouse or whatever. You know, and I think that I could run that type of business, and I think like with everything that I've learned from doing it out of the garage, I could definitely have a good kickstart for that. You know, I know a lot about appliances now that I didn't know before, and what I don't know, I'm sure I can figure out. So it's not, you know.
Well, and that's also something we always talk about, is that it's just a constant learning experience. So you're just making yourself better and better and better. And like, is there a cap for that? No, I don't think so. I think that you can infinitely be better than you are. And that's just like you always say, you have to go to the dark places in order to get there. So you have to go to those places that are uncomfortable and hard and painful and awful sometimes, in order to come out the other side with the knowledge, you know, or the insight that you need to move on to the next level, and level up again.
So many of us just coast along in wherever we are.
And you try to ignore the pain, and you try to just be comfortable all the time too, right? Like that's what I've done my whole life, is just try to be comfortable. And it's been it's a serious detriment to my life, for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people do, but they just end up, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's good for some people. It's never really been good for me though. Whenever I'm like in that rut, it's like I have to do something. And so what I've always done is just had hobbies, you know. Well, like even this is just a hobby. It's not like, you know, there's no money coming in for this or anything. So it's like, of course, you know. But even the other YouTube or the band or whatever, playing music, it's all just hobbies, but I can still challenge myself in some way. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like myself better now. But again, I don't even really have time to think about that or to worry about it, honestly. I just feel like accomplished. I feel like when I get through the day, it's been a good day if I've gotten through the day, you know, and some days are harder. But for the most part, I feel pretty good most days, and I'm really sore, but it's like a good feeling, you know. It's like I every time I do feel something sore, I get this like feeling of like accomplishment again, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, when you're holding yourself accountable, that's, it's and you're doing it honestly, in a really honest way, you know, like, 'cause I'm only hurting myself if I'm not being honest with myself. So like even just drinking the whole gallon of water. Before I was like, I would leave a little bit, sometimes. And
Yeah.
and
Well.
he says like drink the whole gallon of water.
Yeah.
Like don't skimp out.
But
And
you also wonder if it's like, or like humans. A lot of us are defiant.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
God.
but so the only
That's my
person you're
biggest issue, I
screwing
think.
over
Right.
when you're defiant
You're going against
is
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, it's like a
Like
war
even
within
you
yourself.
watch your kids do this,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Well, I'm just not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not going to do that all the way."
Yep.
And you're just like, "Well,
I'll just give you this much, but I'm not gonna. Yeah.
yeah." So
They still want to control it.
here's the thing. I think here's the answer. Right? Is that the standard needs to be so high that your defiance puts you down just a little bit, instead of us reaching to a good enough standard, and then our defiance puts us down a little bit. We need to reach for an excellent standard, and then even if we're defiant, we'll still be above good enough.
Right. Okay, that does kind of make sense, right?
Yeah, it's like tricking yourself with your alarm, or did you ever do that? You set your clock to the wrong time. Like I used to do that.
Like 10 minutes behind or whatever, so that you're on time for stuff.
Yeah, so you're on
or
time
10 minutes
for
ahead
stuff,
or whatever.
which makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, yeah, because you already know.
You just account for it.
Yeah, you already know. Oh yeah, that clock's
So
10
then you're
minutes
just
fast.
like probably wasting more time.
Yeah.
Sitting there looking at it, trying to figure out what time it actually is. Wasting more time, not getting ready.
Yeah, but
going.
for the most part, tricks like that. I mean, and that's the thing I'm trying to get away from too. Is like I don't want to trick myself. Okay, I want to know the truth about whatever is going on. I don't want to trick myself. I don't have to force myself. Like today, Marquesa.
The thing is, the tricks work, and so if that's what you got to do, then do it.
Yeah, but I want to be honest about it. I don't want to have to do that. I feel like that's cheating in a way for me. I feel like it's just shady. It just turns into more stuff like that.
If you get it done, you get it done. I don't know. I don't know that, especially if you're trying to do something like this, it's so hard that it just has to be.
I was trying to think what, I think it had to do with that. There was, we were having a conversation in one of our chats, because we have like a chat that's, what is it, and live in 2025, right? And Marquez is talking about how she's had a lot of ups and downs, but she's been doing stuff like consistently for like 33 days, it looks like. So I think she's been on the treadmill for 33 days, like every day walking. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. Or she's been stretching or something. And then she was talking about her food. Because what I was thinking was, they're talking a lot about like trusting yourself and like listening to your body when you need something, or but in the same vein as like not trusting your thoughts, I feel like that's similar. So maybe you can trust your body, but not in the system that we're in. It's like because of the types of food that we eat, for instance, it's so pumped full of chemicals and things that make you want and crave these things, that you can't trust your body, because your body's telling you, giving you signals for things that aren't good for you, right? So you like, and that's like a big movement, is like people keep talking about that, like trust your body and think of, listen to your body when you need something. And I wish I could, and maybe that was possible back when people were eating whole foods all the time and like healthy things, but now it's just impossible with the kind of crap that we're eating all the time.
Yeah,
even trying to eat healthy.
Yeah, if we eat whole foods. But the thing is that you still can't trust your body, because it actually scientifically makes no sense. It takes 2 minutes for your stomach to realize you're full.
Right.
And so the only way that you could do that, the best thing to do would be to eat a couple bites of food and then push the plate forward.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the technique. And you push the plate forward and you wait 2 minutes. And then you eat a couple more bites of food and push the plate forward and wait 2 minutes. And that's the only way to do it, because your brain and your stomach aren't necessarily communicating
right
at that rate. It's
Mm.
something like that. It might not be 2 minutes, but it's something like that.
Well, but the other thing that accounts for the issues as far as like binging and stuff goes is that you're also accounting for what it tastes like and what it feels
Yeah.
like in your to have it in your mouth. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's another issue
Yeah.
is
Well,
that
yeah, that's the issue. And so that's why this program is what it is. You know, you just don't do it. Like
yeah. Yeah.
you know what you're doing.
Right.
We all know what we're doing when we're doing it.
Yep.
You know, we've been blessed with a conscience.
Yeah.
Like we know what's going on.
That's why this is even
So
a
you
thing
just
at
don't
all.
do it. You
Yeah.
know, and like that's the thing is that this will teach you how to you want to eat those Doritos all the time, you know? Like I want to drink that Mountain Dew all the time. And I know it's wrong and it's not good for me, right? So like that's the point of the program is that you
Yeah.
have to overcome what you want.
Yeah.
You have to do what you have to go against what you want, you know?
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then you'll come out mentally tough to be able to do anything because you'll be able to go through life and be like, well, I should start a business, but I don't want to, right? And then
Right.
you'll start it anyways.
Yep.
You'll be like, I should quit this job, but I don't want to. It's comfortable here.
Right.
I don't want to go where it's
It's
darkest.
scary.
You know, but where we have to go all the time is where it's darkest. Like where we can see is where we've been, right? This is the way it is. And I learned this from Jordan Peterson. I think he was talking about like Knights of the Round Table,
Mhm.
and he said in that story when they like go to explore a forest or something. And like I could be mixing things up, but anyways, the way that they did it and why they were always so successful is because they would pick the darkest part of the forest and go into it first. And like this works in mechanics. If you have 3 bolts to take off on a car and one of them's going to be really hard to take off, that's the first one you do. You go for that one first. Like a lot of mechanics will go for that one first because once that's off, then it's like, oh, well, this is just going to get easier.
Yeah.
It's not going to get harder. Well, it's the same concept, but the idea is that if you have a concept in life that you need to know to progress to some state,
Mhm.
well, you have anxiety about it.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there. You don't want to go learn that stuff that you have to learn. What if you can't learn it?
Right.
And
Procrastinate.
you're not good enough, right?
Right.
Like this is what he says, you know. But that's where you have to go first. That you have to go find the dark place first, the dark place in the forest first, the place you don't know. And really, it's like all of this stuff is a lot easier than we think it is. You know, you're in a lot more control than you think you are.
Yeah, that's true too.
You have a lot more power than you think you do.
Yeah.
And so that's the point. You know.
That's the first time that I've really heard that in a while. You know, because I've been on this like idea that you can't control anything, which you can't, you know, but there is an aspect to this that is interesting that you can control a lot more than you think, right? Like just like you were saying, there's more time in your day than you think there is. You just have to use it in the right way and be more organized, you know, and then there you go.
Yeah, and also
So that part I can control.
maybe not sleep 10 hours. You know,
Yeah, that's the other
you
thing.
sleep. You could sleep 8 hours or less. You could sleep 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You add time to your day. You know, there's other ways of doing things too. It's like if you do things, if you put things on a list, you're going to be a lot more efficient.
Right.
If you put things on a schedule, you're going to be a lot. There's a reason they do schedules at work
Mm-hmm.
because it makes you efficient. It forces you to be efficient.
Yeah.
And so, you know, 'cause a lot of times you'll just like, especially in today's world with Facebook and like Instagram, like you could lose time on those apps. That's what they're for. They're literally designed to do that to you.
Yep. They really are. And it's 1,000,000% true. I know everybody knows that too. And I, you know, like I've said probably before, but I noticed that. I noticed like, I wonder how much of that is like how much, I walk around the neighborhood every day and there's just trash everywhere and nobody ever picks up their own trash. Sometimes I just leave it in their, like I'll leave the stuff in their yard, but if it's on the sidewalk, I'll pick it up, or if it's on the road, I'll pick it up. But I
Yeah.
don't want to go into their yard and get their stuff, but they'll just leave it.
Yeah.
They will never ever pick it up.
Probably 'cause they don't even see it.
Yeah, because
They get
they're,
out
but
of
I
the
think,
car, they look at their phone,
yeah,
they
I don't
walk in
think,
the house.
yeah, I just don't, I think they just lose their time. All their time is spent worrying about what's on their phone.
Yeah.
And I want, and only because I know from my own experience, and I wonder how much of the laziness and, like even this summer, like just seeing people's nasty yards, people out here don't pay for people to do their yards. I'm sure they do in other places, like on the east side and stuff, but, they're not doing their own yards for sure, and I spend a lot of time doing our yard every week in the summer. And, I'm just listening to a podcast or whatever, but I wonder, like, why nobody else is doing that, except for like our kitty corner neighbors, but they're older. They sort of have that Gen X mentality that, my parents had or whatever. Like they take a little pride in their yard. And it's not the yard per se. I just mean like, cuz that's all I can see. I don't know what their lives are like necessarily, but I just wonder. I just think about that all the time. Like, if they took their time to do more beneficial things for their lives.
Yeah, well, I think that people just don't care about that crap
No.
anymore either. And I think I always wondered, like that one just seems like a weird thing to me. That we buy land and then we grow grass in it to cut it off, to grow grass to cut it off. Like if you have kids or animals, it's nice for them to run around back there or whatever. But other than that, it's like it is just a weird concept.
Well, it's more than that.
Well, but
It's because you're presenting yourself in a way,
yeah, so
right?
I am kind of changing my mind the older I get, and I do realize that like we basically need to start doing everything that we do as perfectly as we can do it.
Right.
And that's what's going to create a great America,
Yes.
is if we all do that.
Yes.
And I'm realizing that, through Andy Frisella, that's one thing that he talks about all the time, is like we have to change the culture. We have to be the change.
Yeah, your
So-
podcasts have been really inspiring too,
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
just 'cause
talking
I'm
about that stuff.
copying that dude.
Yeah, but it's
Go listen to him. You'll be way more inspired.
no. I think hearing it from you is really important for me. I can listen to anybody say that kind of stuff, but I follow you, right? So you're my leader and I follow you, no other man. So to hear you saying these things that, they're really inspiring to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't follow anybody either, but they're just true.
Yeah, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that you're seeing this as
But,
truth
well,
for your
yeah,
life now.
So the reason that I'm saying it again, the reason I'm repeating it, is because it's just true.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a lot of the stuff he says is just the correct truth. It's like the correct way
Yeah.
that we should all be doing.
Right. And it it translates to me in the ways that, like I was talking to the boys about it today, as far as like your responsibility as the father and teaching them how to be fathers when it's time for them to be strong, because God appointed men to be good fathers and to teach their children and to be good leaders, and I'm seeing that in you, all the time, even more and more every day. And I think that's really important for us to understand, is that, this is a really, it's a specific, it translates for me religiously, I guess, or spiritually. I can see it there too. So for me, I make all these connections all the time to like the Bible and to God and to, and then just like the things that I see in the world. So that's how I've always seen, that's how truth is revealed, I feel like, right? As long as you're willing to see it. So to me, yeah, that is the truth. It makes sense,
Yeah, well, it really is. So we just need to all work on it.
Yeah.
And like really with the issue that we have with the left and the ungodlies, is that they're just trying to they're always just trying to out victim themselves and out victim each other. And you can't do that, because at some point your ego, if you're growing your ego to be a victim or to be a negative, if it makes you look good to be a negative, then society's just going to go down.
Right.
It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, nobody's lifting each other up.
Right. So instead
that
of us
point.
competing to get better, everybody's competing to get worse.
And everybody's jealous of this person that is more,
Yeah.
retarded than them. So they
Right.
want to they want to act
Exactly.
retarded too. I'm bringing that word back. I don't care.
Lots of people are. I think lots of people are starting to realize that,
It's literally being
you can't do
retarded,
it.
though. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about people that are like born that way necessarily either. I'm talking about these people are actually retarded. They are retarding themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like, but it's also just like we can't play their language game.
Yeah.
Because this is the issue, and this is something that it's in what's it called, 1984. It's a concept in that book. He basically says, what's 2 plus 2, in this like pivotal point in the book, and the dude says 4, and the oppressor says no, it's 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they can get you to believe that 2 plus 2 is 5, then they can get you to believe anything. Or
Right.
you're so confused, you're in a wrong state that you don't know what the truth is. If they can get you
And
to
you're too scared.
then that's how they take over.
Right.
That's how the communists take
Yeah.
over. That's how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just that, okay? If they can get you to believe that a man is a woman when it's not,
Which is even worse than 2 plus 2 because
it's the
Because
same thing.
anybody that can't even do math can see with their own eyes that a man is a man and a woman is a woman.
Right, but
They intuitively
look at
know
how many
that.
people don't know that.
I know.
How many people don't know that today?
Right.
And it's not like to be mean to these people. It's just like what you're so much
they're just as
easier-
victimized as we are. They're
Right, well,
just
they're
as much of
worse.
a yeah.
They're more of a victim to this than we are.
Right.
But it's just like you can't it'd be, I think that's how they do it. Basically that's how they do it. If they can get you to believe that something is false, even though it's true,
Mm-hmm.
then they have you. They can
Right.
get you to believe anything.
Right.
They can get you to believe that communism is good. They can get you to believe that communism is the way, right?
Right.
And then that's what they do, and then they take over, and then they kill you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that it's gone down. How many times over and over again,
Right. And that's Satan's way. It's just complete destruction. And he's the king of flipping the script, or what is that called? The fake version of everything, of what God's laws and everything that God has in place. He just does the opposite of that, but makes you think it's real,
Yeah.
I can't think of the word for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like
But I do know this. It's like we can't continue doing what we've been doing. And it's like, it's interesting now that, I don't know, we're starting to flip it back the other way. Like Trump's in office and he's doing all this stuff. And then
it's a good sign.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden it's like there's a helicopter crashing into an airplane, and then just
And then
tonight,
an airplane crashing
into the mall.
yeah.
And it's like, well, what happened? Like, why is this stuff happening now?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be an easy road. But, I don't know. I trust him, and I think that he's working through this stuff every day, no matter what. And I think, it's going to take somebody literally offing him to stop this train. I don't think there's anything else they can do.
Well, they already tried.
Yep. And they're going to keep trying.
They're going to try again.
Yeah. He's got to know that, but I think he has no fear over that. That's what's so
Yeah.
crazy. He's just fearless.
Well, how can he be? I mean, it's like if he didn't get in, then the country's just going. It's just gone anyways. I mean,
that's
I
true.
don't think that
He
we
might
were
as well.
we were on the edge.
Yeah.
Like
you
I don't
you'll
think
just lay down and
people
die.
realize how close we are.
Right.
How close we are to losing it.
Yep.
And it's like what used to be the greatest country ever made, pretty much the invention of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and we've lost it. We've let it go.
Yeah.
We have to get back. So we have to go back to freedom. We can't let the government oppress us,
Right.
in any way.
Yeah, I mean, just that's exactly right. Conservative means conserving the values and God's universal truths, and progressive means progress, which means doing everything opposite of that. Basically, progress in a personal,
Yeah.
individual sense
Yeah,
is
but
a good thing,
they're
but
just really
progress,
they're
in
just really Marxist though.
right, it's
It's
marketed
not
as
yeah, it's
progress,
not progress.
right?
It's just it's the old it's a different old plan. It's an
Yeah,
old plan that has been done before.
right. But that's not God's plan.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way that. I mean, maybe in a roundabout way, like he's like, well, yeah, if you do this, then that's what's going to happen. And every time you guys try to do this, this is what happens because you're going against.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to have the consequence.
Right.
Either way, good or bad.
Yeah.
So capitalism and freedom is going to give you a good consequence, and regardless of what you might think, communism is not freedom, and it's going to give you a bad consequence.
Except for the people up top.
Yeah, there's no utopia. Well, even for them it's
Yeah,
bad.
that's true, I guess.
Even for them it's bad. It's just maybe it's bad for them last. But eventually the whole house of cards falls down and then they get killed too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like
Yeah, that's true. They can't really escape that either, I guess, in the end.
no, it's like it's all everybody's going to pay for that system.
Yeah, it ultimately just doesn't work. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, these people are victimized as well. Like I try not to judge because of that, because I know that they are so brainwashed and they're so lost in their anger and their fear,
right.
and it's so
Well,
evident.
I don't judge, like, I really don't. I really like think that I wish that there was a way that I could. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. I wish that there was a way that I could explain to them what I know.
Yeah.
Like me and my brother were talking about that with the Second Amendment. I think we might have been on this podcast the other day. If you look up the statistics, then it makes no sense why they're trying to ban these ARs.
Right.
Because almost nobody gets killed with an AR-15 ever.
Right.
It's, the statistics I had was 500 deaths a year, but that's not by AR-15. That's by rifles. All rifles. Because it's just the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Usually when you're going to do a homicide, if you're going to do a homicide with a gun, okay, it's like, I know it's going to be in houses, it's going to be in the street, it's going to be in an alley. You don't want a long range weapon.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going to use an AR-15.
Right.
All right? But if you're going to go to war with a government,
right,
then that's when you're going to have a pistol and a rifle, right? So isn't it interesting, the one that they're trying to ban? It's like 30,000 people die of homicide by pistol every year. Well,
but nobody cares.
they don't want to ban the pistols.
No.
They want to ban the weapon that we have
That
that's
does damage.
most likely to be able to fight against an army. And so how do you get the people to realize that? The people that are for gun control, they need to understand it's not about hunting deer
Yeah.
that we need those rifles for. That's not the point. The point is that all governments in all of history have eventually become tyrannical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they don't believe that.
I know, but how do you get them to? Like, this is my point, is like the people that that want gun control, how do you get them to realize that it's just wrong?
Well, you don't. Like, your whole story, your whole life story with me has been that, right? Like, you have been trying to teach me and trying to convince me of all of these things that are true and that have been true throughout our whole relationship, and yet I was not ready to hear you for whatever reason until at some point, these things start making sense to me. But when they're not ready, they're not ready. You can't. It's it goes back to the Bible again. Like, that's why God gives us the free will to decide for ourselves whether or not we choose Him. Because if He tried to force us, then we wouldn't. We that is our nature. Our nature is to go against, like you said. We are rebellious. That's the nature of us. So if we are given the choice, then we're more likely to go toward him in that respect. Or not, but then you're more likely to want to be motivated to, right? Because we're like, oh, it's my idea or whatever, right? It's stupid. But for whatever reason, he made it that way. So it's the same thing, right?
Well,
just
but
like
the
with the
problem
kids.
is that you're now in conflict. And that's the other thing to note, is that you have the what they've taught you your whole life is not to talk about religion, politics, or money. But if you talk about those three things are going to progress your life in better ways.
Yep.
But if you don't talk about them, then you're going to be a whole lot easier to control.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of it that way.
If you're broke, you're easy to control. If you won't talk about how the politicians are screwing you, then you're easier to control. And if you're not religious, then you're a lot easier to control, because you don't have a guide from God of how to act. You don't have any moral compass or value, and that's what they're doing.
It's always just been, in my mind, I always just thought it was just like a politeness thing, like you don't want to upset people.
Yeah, but that's the problem right there, because people need to be told that they're wrong.
Yeah, they need to challenge each other. Yeah, people need to be more comfortable challenging each other, that's for sure.
That's why we have what we have. That's why we're in the position we're in, because people like me walk around being like, it's not right that we let all these people across the border.
Yeah.
But I just think it in my head and don't say it out loud.
Right.
And then it just happens, I guess.
Well, it's that whole thing that you were talking about, that video you sent me of like women can't handle the way that men talk to each other, right? Because we don't talk to each other that way. We are always, even if we know the other person is wrong, and this is why I like my friends, because we do sort of challenge each other more than I think I ever have with any other friends that I've had. We actually like stop and ask each other questions when we don't agree with something, or we want to understand more, right? So that is really nice about my friend group. But we still all tend to like side with each other, even if it's not correct, right?
But see, we won't do that.
Right.
We'll
and
just
men,
argue.
that's such a feminine way of doing things. And it makes sense that women are this way, because when you're making fun of me, or when you're like trying to tell me something, even just a little bit ago, you were saying something and I felt like almost like you were attacking me for a second, and I was like, no, he's not. Just stop. Like, stop yourself. That's just like our natural way of doing it. And men feel motivated by that kind of, if you don't, then you're a pussy, I guess.
I think most of us are just looking for the truth. And it's not really that we're like, it's more like this. We want to know what is actually true or not. It's a logic game. And women don't use logic.
No, we don't.
You use emotions.
We don't like logic either.
Yeah, so, but since we're always going for the logic, it's like if somebody's fat, I'm just going to, more than likely not, just say, well, you have these problems because you're fat. If they're like breathing really hard, or they're like having some other issue with their life, like a woman isn't going to be like, well, it's because you're fat, lose some weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a man might. Like, I would be. That's what I do. I tell people that, too. I'm like, well, maybe if you lost some weight, you'd probably feel better.
Well, and the other point to that was that if somebody told you that, you'd be like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. If somebody told me, well, yeah, you're kind of fat, dude. Like, you're fat. Like, that's why you're breathing so hard you can't walk up the stairs. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. But women would get offended at that.
Right.
It's like, well, it's the truth.
The truth doesn't matter to women. That's the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They don't want the truth. That's what's so crazy. Yeah. You are seeking the truth as a man, and women are trying to avoid it all the time.
Yeah, and
that's so crazy.
And so, you're like, okay, well, that's rude to call people fat. And I'm like, well, maybe it is, but also, if we all called fat people fat, would they still be? Like, would they go work on it? I don't know. Would they just kill themselves? I don't know. Like, really, what would happen? Or would they just go cry themselves to sleep every day? Like, maybe they're already doing that. Maybe they know they're fat, and so I don't need to tell them that. But maybe they don't. Like, I'm fatter than I've ever been, but I don't look different to myself in the mirror. Like, it's not like I don't see that. Like, I don't notice it. But, I mean, obviously, if I look at a picture of myself 20 years ago, I'm, like, a lot skinnier, right? But it's not like, you know, maybe if we were all going around being like, well, look, here's a flaw that I see in you
Right.
that you might be able to fix if you know about it. Like how many flaws do we all have that we're so blind to?
Or really, it's like it goes back to also women are delusional. They not only don't want the truth, but they will create a whole different truth, right?
Yeah.
So in
Yeah,
order
well,
to avoid
so
that,
yeah, so if I call you fat, then it's not just that I like showed you the truth, you
right?
know? It's
Now I have
like,
to start a movement against
yeah,
people
I
like you.
basically like I killed you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I threatened to kill you.
Yeah.
Like that's what I did. Or
Rape.
yeah, or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, it's the severity of me doing that. Like it's making mountains out of molehills.
Yeah.
Like women love to do that.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you don't comment if they've changed their hair, and you're not like, oh, what'd you do to your hair? Then you don't ever notice. There's straight up women that will have dreams that their spouse cheats on them, and they get mad at their spouse for it.
Hmm.
They're like, it's a dream. Like that didn't even really actually happen.
Right. Yeah, again, it is delusion. And, once you come to terms with that as a woman, and I still am, I'm still struggling with that all the time, like the whole, and, I sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I can't change this right now. Like, this is still a thing that is a part of me, and I don't know how to change it. And maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. But at least being aware of it is a good thing, I feel like. So it even being able to talk about this right now is like, I can't even believe it sometimes. Like there's no way I could have been talking about this when I was younger. This would have been so shocking and so like offensive to me. And so, so being aware is really a good thing, and it gives you an opportunity to learn.
Yeah. Well,
And to make yourself better.
really, men should just not ever get married. Like, just don't do it. Stay away from women. Like, if you're a young dude listening to this, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Be celibate. Just stay on your own. Do your own thing your whole life.
And is it crazy that at that age too, that's probably all you ever think about and all you ever
Yeah,
want, right? That's the
exactly.
only thing you want.
You're gonna ruin your life.
But it will absolutely, destroy you.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, I feel for you guys. I feel for our boys. Like it's gonna be a rough road. There's nobody's getting out of here with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like women could have accountability for how they act.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that could happen.
It's not likely.
Moms could teach their daughters
Yep.
how to have accountability for their own actions. Like if you have a dream about your spouse, try not to take it out on your spouse. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was all in your head or wherever the other place we go when we dream is.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, stop
It's fake.
listening to that. Stop listening to that voice.
Yeah.
That voice is evil. It's completely wrong. It's lying to you.
Yeah.
And I keep saying this, and I don't know if my friends believe me when I say that. I think that Marquesa sort of understands. Like that's after we were having this conversation about like how eating these foods and stuff is like I can't trust my body. I can't trust. And she said, well, I can't trust my mind. And I was like, nobody should trust their mind ever, even if it's a good thing. It will let you down. You can't trust it. You can't let those voices in your head, however many are going on in there, which sometimes for me is like multiple. You can't listen to them at all. You have to just see what's actually true and just know that, and don't talk to yourself about it. Because once you're talking to yourself about it, then you're screwed. And now you're out, you can't trust that at all. Especially with women, I see my mom. That's how my mom is. That's her whole shtick, I swear. It's just, she just is in her world, and you can't win in her world. Whatever she did, whatever she believes is the truth. And I learned that from her, and it sucks. It's hard.
Well, and I don't even know. It might just be instinctively
I think
the way
it is.
that everybody is. I mean, it's like whatever. I mean, but men have their own issues. Women have their issues, but yeah. Anyways, I think we should end it. I still got to go read.
Yeah. Okay.
And shower before bed and everything. It's late, and I've been up since 3 a.m. It's now 10 p.m. How many hours is that?
A lot.
A lot.
I don't know.
It's 12 plus 7, 19 hours.
Yeah.
I still probably got another hour that I gotta stay up. So
Okay.
it's good times.
Good times.
Okay, anyways, bye.
See you tomorrow.
Comment and subscribe and all that fun stuff. If you think we're bad people, then hit the thumbs down twice.